Hey, folks, and welcome to Both Sides of Par. This is the golf podcast that comes at it from both ends of the handicap spectrum. I'm Colin Gray. I'm the high handicapper of the pair, but the low handicapper Ross isn't here today, actually. Today I am talking to another almost equally low handicapper going by the name of Coleman Golfs. If you find him online, you can find Coleman on Instagram under Coleman Golfs. And his project right now caught our eye because he is building an open source launch monitor at the moment called Open Flight. And Ross has had Coleman on his show, Linked by Golf, in the past to talk a little bit about that. But we thought we'd get Coleman on here to Both Sides of Par as well to talk about the project because it's had a bit of progress since then as well, hasn't it, Coleman? So welcome to the show, Coleman. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me, Colin.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming on. So yeah, we'll get to the launch monitor stuff, but yeah, I was curious to dig into a wee bit of your background first, actually, around your your golfing journey and everything, because I think we share a little bit of golfing heritage here. It sounds like you grew up around golf. Like, did you? What was your kind of first experience of being on a course? Was it right down young?
Yeah, so I grew up working at a country club as a caddy, and I worked at that country club for almost 10 years. So I started as a real small guy carrying one bag, and then, grew up to carry two and gain a little seniority amongst the caddies. And yeah, it's a great job in the summer. You're around golf all day, every day, and not to mention you get a lot of free golf out of that.
Yes. A good chance to get better quite quickly.
That's right.
Did you play a lot as well in between all the caddying?
Yeah, played a lot. I also ended up getting a job, driving the range picker around, and that gave me even more golf privileges, including the driving range. So I was hitting balls every day. I could live my life at the driving range.
Yeah. What level did you get to back then when you were a kid?
Back then, I think probably I started to break 80 every now and then. My swing was totally homegrown. And I think that's one thing that I kind of regret not getting a coach back then, because I was totally self-taught and I was an okay golfer back then. But I kind of plateaued, in the high single digits handicap.
Well, I mean, you say plateau, that's way higher than, or lower, way lower than my plateau. Yeah, similar kind of journey. I know I grew up in a golfing family. Grew up on a driving range, actually, at one point. So I'm well versed with driving a wee tractor around with a cage around me, getting clattered with balls because you just, I mean, I presume you were under the same barrage of golf balls. People just treat you as a target, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when it gets stuck in a ditch and you kind of wave at everyone to stop for just a minute, they don't stop.
That's right. Waving your arms just.
Yeah. Please don't. But yeah, it was good fun. It was a good place. Like you say, I mean, it's a privilege to basically be able to go into the back room and just pick out a bucket of balls for free and just go and hit them for a while, wasn't it? So yeah, that's really cool. I never did the caddying, actually. I did a lot of divot filling, walking about in the golf course, actually filling the holes and everything. But yeah, never the caddying. Did the caddying teach you much about being a golfer? Like about, I don't know, about the game? What did you take away from caddying that helped your actual playing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think for one, I learned how to read greens really well. That's something that I've always been pretty good at. Not the best putter, but I'm pretty good at reading greens, because all day I was reading greens for the people I'm caddying for. Course management for sure, because you caddy for all different skill levels, and you kind of need to learn how to manage their game on the fly and kind of understand what they're capable of and give proper recommendation there. Too, I think what was exciting for me was being exposed to the whole spectrum of golf gear. because you get really good golfers, and back then all the really good golfers were playing Titleist blades, MBs, and
Yeah.
that was like, wow, if I'm going to be good, I need to get some Titleist MBs, and then the big drivers started coming out and the big putters. And so I was excited about the wide range of gear I got to experience and experiment with.
Yeah, that's I never thought about it that way actually in terms of developing your course strategy, your course management. It's something Ross and I talk about a lot on the show. It's I don't know, interesting to hear your thoughts on this as well. But Ross always says that even as a near scratch handicapper, that's still the part that he struggles with most. It doesn't necessarily he struggles with hitting the shots some every now and again, but the biggest part is really still working your way around the course in a smart way and having the right mindset and everything. And I guess playing with such a variety of golfers, you probably were you aware enough at the time? Can you be aware enough to actually be to notice, the biggest mistakes or the common mistakes that people make? Those like to spot this bad decision that the kind of level that you've seen somebody's at, and you're like, that's not the shot you should be going for. Was that something you were aware of at the time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, a huge mistake I think everybody makes is not playing within their means, not playing within their ability level. Back when I was caddying, I might get caddying for the older women on their Tuesday, tournament day, and they have a totally different strategy, than the single digit men out there. And so, you really got to help them feel confident about, it's okay if we don't get to the green here, or, it's okay if we take an extra shot here and there. So for sure. And in addition to that, I think you have to be like a very positive influence on them.
Yeah.
Not sure how well that translated to myself, but there's certainly a lesson to be learned there.
That's the trouble, isn't it? It's very easy to spot the mistakes looking in from the outside, as
Oh,
opposed
yeah.
to making yourself do the layup, as opposed to going for the pin.
Yeah, right.
What
Right.
was your improvement journey like then? So, I mean, it sounds like, you got to a pretty high level when you were even, still in your kind of learning years there, if you got to single figures. But what do you remember for the next, what age are you now, Coleman?
I'm 35.
Yeah, so for your next, through your 20s and into your 30s then, do you remember that sort of improvement journey, like when you first started get towards that sort of below five, like making your way towards scratch, what those goals were?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely remember. I every now and then working at the country club, I would get, a 10, 15-minute lesson from the teaching pro there. And I remember him telling me, my swing was homegrown and had a very strong grip, just because that's just what I did. No reason behind it. That's just how I gripped the club naturally. And he told me once, he was like, if you really want to get better, you need to neutralize your grip. You can't be playing with this grip anymore. And so I changed it, and it messed me up for a year. I was terrible.
Yeah.
And that was kind of around pre-college time for me. And so a lot of that time was, getting reintroduced to a whole new grip and learning how to release my hands better. And after college, I moved to Chicago in Illinois in the States, and that's a tough city to play golf in. It's a huge city, but there's
Really?
not a lot of golf courses. And I didn't play that much golf. I was really focused on my career and being you know early 20s in a big city, and finally making some money. It was like I was doing other stuff. But it's been just the past probably 4 years now where
Hmm.
I really got serious. I knew I had it in me, but I needed a coach. And so I signed up with, there's a YouTube guy, one of the New Zealand guys named Luke Toomey. I don't know if you're
Hmm.
familiar with him.
No,
Um,
I haven't come across the name, but yeah, okay.
yeah, he's big YouTuber guy now. But before he was that, I got on board his roster, uh, him being my coach, and
Hmm.
he's former professional player, really really good. Had Corn Ferry status, I think. Um, and he totally redid me. He totally redid my swing. Took a long time, but I've come out the other side exceptionally better.
Yeah, yeah, and that grip finally feels normal.
Yeah, I'm right down the middle now. 100% neutral grip.
Yeah, I remember that. I did that about 2 years ago. My kind of journey was played a lot as a kid, went away from it for 10, 20 years actually. I'm in my 40s now and just came back to it in recent years as the children got older enough that I could actually get back out again.
Mm,
And I changed my grip pretty much in the first year of coming back, trying to take it a bit more seriously. And I'm still not entirely sure I'm used to it. I still have to look down at it and adjust every single time I pick up a club, but
hmm.
gradually feeling more normal and a wee bit
Yeah,
more steady. But yeah,
takes a
it's a
long
hard one.
time.
Yeah, for sure. What were so? I mean, it's the last few years then that you've really started to sort of take that seriously. Like, what were you chasing then when this launch monitor obsession kicked in? Was that when you first started sort of getting into the launch monitor world? When you jumped straight into the project you have taken on, or did you mess around a lot with the kind of more commercial launch monitors before that? How did that journey start?
Yeah, so the homemade launch monitor open flight has just been the past 6 months.
Ah, really?
It's
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, it's still very new. And that came about really because, I my handicap was coming down. I was serious about golf, playing some tournaments, and I kept going through this cycle every now and then, like, okay, maybe it's time for me to get my own launch monitor. Let me see what's out there. And every time I went through this exercise, it was the same. I came to the same conclusions. It was like, okay, the really good ones, the Trackmans, they're too expensive. $30,000. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, the cheap ones, they're not that good. I had tried a few of my friends' ones out, and they're okay, but they sometimes estimate their metrics, and they're very limited to what they measure. And some of the ones in the middle, around the like $2,000 range, they'll charge you a subscription just to use it,
Yeah.
and the reviews of the software aren't good, and so I was really frustrated about the options that I had. Um, and so, I had a bunch of paid time off from work last December. And so I pretty much had the whole month off. And it was cold outside. There wasn't playing golf. And I was like, you know what? I'm a software engineer. I have AI tools at my hands. Like, maybe I can try to build my own, see what happens. And yeah, here we are.
As no one else ever does.
Right, right.
But yeah, admirable and cool. Now that we see the outcomes of this project,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Okay, yeah. So it just kind of, I mean, what was it that I'd love to talk about the data, like the stuff that you've got your launch monitor, your open source launch monitor capturing versus the other ones out there. Like what stuff's useful, what stuff's not. Did you have an idea back then, like when you kept thinking you wanted to get a launch monitor before you built your own, what it was you really, what was the point? Like what was it you were chasing with it?
Yeah, I think for me, I really wanted, as a baseline, ball speed, club speed,
Yep.
and then the launch angles for sure, and the spin.
Hmm.
I think that it was that group of metrics that were really important to me because there's a ton of like very affordable launch monitors that can do ball and club speed. Um, but to me, as a player who's trying to get better, like I can feel when I'm being faster, and I don't, day to day in my game, I don't really care about if I'm, gaining a couple miles per hour. So that alone, I don't think is very useful to me. And so I really needed some more metrics.
Yeah.
And also a lot of the really nice ones do kind of face to path, and I can tell when my face is closed or open, by the flight of the ball. And so that I didn't feel like I needed. But I did want kind of club path in general and like attack angles.
Yeah.
So it's really just the angles and the speed and the spin. That's kind of what I was focused on.
Yeah. And it was just focused on, measuring improvement essentially, or adjusting the swing just like bit by bit. It was really just around that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's dig into it then. Like in terms of
Sure.
the monitors, like so there's so many little bits we could like jump into here, but I mean, what really, you mentioned it before, like the difference between, so I've gone through this journey a little bit as well, not the building one, but like starting to look at launch monitors. Thought I'd love one of the big 5, 10, 30 grand ones or whatever, but I just can't justify that money for something like that, especially when I'm at the handicap level I'm at. It's not like it probably even makes that much difference to me, although it'd be good to get your thoughts on that in a little while as well. But what actually, you've got so I ended up getting a second-hand Garmin R10 as an example.
Oh, nice.
So they're like, £500, $500, I think. What makes that different from, a £5,000 one or a £30,000 one? Like, now that you've dug into the technicalities of these things, what really separates them in terms of quality?
Yeah, really good question. So with Trackman, they have a very specific type of radar that they use. And this radar, interestingly enough, Trackman at the $30,000 price is actually quite fair and justified because of their quality of hardware. They use a type of radar that's called a phased array radar. Mm-hmm. And this is the same concept that like big military tools use to like track missiles and stuff.
Right. so presuming that they're quite accurate then.
Yes, exactly. And this is like this is the ideal tool for the job.
Really.
And I've looked a little bit into what it would take to build my own small one, and it's legitimately $5,000 to $10,000 to build one of these things, really? Purely because of the hardware involved.
So is that just a really different technology from, you're using Doppler radars, aren't you? In your
That's right.
Is that right? Yeah. Is that just a quite different technology?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It requires very precise hardware, and the way it works is pretty amazing. I'm not a radar expert by any means. I've learned a lot during this project.
Yeah.
And thankfully I have some smart radar people in my life, as it so happens, which is pretty cool.
Is that right? I saw in one of your videos, is your mother a radar expert? Is that, or was that I didn't watch the whole thing. Was that a joke or was that true?
That was a joke. Yeah.
Fair enough.
she wanted to be in a video, so I
brought her in as the
her
photo expert. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's one of my oldest friends from college. His name's cool. Jerry, and he has a PhD in like this radar technology, and he used to work as at a company contracting for the government, building radars for like fighter planes and stuff like that. So yeah, the phased array radar, it's amazing technology, and that's why Trackman costs so much money.
So is it the only one of that range that uses that type of radar in that case?
I believe so,
when you jump down to the other ones, are they kind of all different technology again? They're kind of inferior?
Inferior, yes, but, also the prices are lower.
Yeah.
And then, when you get to like the Foresight, like the GC Quad, that type of launch monitor is based on cameras and not radar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So in that case, also very expensive, but they use like high-speed cameras. The positioning is different. It's right in front of the golfer rather than behind. Um, and so that's kind of the other category of launch
Yeah,
monitor.
different thing altogether. Yeah. So then you come to like what is so you're using Doppler radars. You've got I was looking at the sort of plans earlier on. You've got three radars in, don't you? You've got like one main one and two supporting ones. Are they all the same? Like, can you explain why you need three?
Yeah, so I've got one big Doppler radar, and that's purely for speed,
Sure.
ball speed and club speed only. And we've tested that side by side with Trackman, and it's spot on, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That was a huge win. It's usually between about plus or minus 1 mile an hour difference, which is better than I could have ever hoped for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other two are for the angles. One measuring vertical angles, one measuring horizontal.
Okay.
And the main difference between the two other ones and the one big one is that the two other ones have multiple receivers on the board, on the physical radar board. And when you have one transmitter sending out the radio waves and two receivers, the receiving when the radar waves bounce off the ball and come back, we're able to kind of triangulate where in the direction, we get like a vector to the golf ball because we have enough data now to point at where it's going.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I learned during this project.
Yeah. So you didn't realize you'd need three to begin with, but as you start building it out, you try with one, you realize that you can only really measure. So did you find you could only really measure basically one variable per radar? Otherwise right. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. And so it still looked like though you've got relatively few components because I saw your shopping list and it was the three radars. You've got your sound sensor. You had obviously the cables to connect them together, the 3D case, obviously a 3D printed case if you want to. Was there anything else I'm missing? There's a few little
just
bits.
the Raspberry Pi.
The Pi, of course. Yeah, so the actual computing part, the actual processor, and that's
Yeah.
it. And so you're just connecting those parts together. You're essentially adding those sensors to the brain, which is the Pi, and that's all it needs. Just chuck them in a box and it does okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then a lot of software that runs it all.
Aye. Yeah. So, I mean, you're just dumping data from these radars into the software, and it's the software that was one question I had actually was how much is where's the work really? Is most of the work in the software? Is most of the work actually translating that data into ball flight and useful output?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. At this point in the project, almost 100% of the work is dumping all of the radar data, which is actually reaching the limits of like the capabilities of the Pi. We're right on the edge.
Yeah.
100% of the work now is just looking at the data and comparing it to another launch monitor.
Yeah.
Preferably Trackman. But I'm telling all the people who are also building OpenFlight, like if you have another launch monitor, do them side by side, compare the values, and see where we need to improve.
I presume it's got more, like as you're calibrating like that, you're using so much kind of calibration data there. It's got more and more reliable. Like what parts of it did you find most easy to triangulate in, calibrate in compared to the stuff that's much harder?
The speeds, the ball speed and club speed, was really quick. That was almost
straightforward.
Yeah, that was very straightforward. That's like Doppler 101, Doppler radar 101.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was quite easy. The hard part right now is getting the angles consistently right. We found that they're right most of the time, some of the time, not all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and hopefully it's not a limitation of the hardware. Still yet to be seen of that, but we're getting better.
Do you think is that where I suppose in terms so yours is you talk about yours being around under $500, isn't it, for all the components? Yeah.
It's a little more now, only because Raspberry Pi prices have gone way up,
Yeah. Processing and
unfortunately.
memory just gone crazy in the last 6 months, 12 months. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but still in that kind of region, like $500 or so.
Yeah.
So if you were to have people comparing you to something commercial, I guess it would be around that kind of like Garmin R10 type of thing, those little radars, those little monitors. How does it compare to them in terms of the hardware?
Well, for one, the Garmin R10 just has one single Doppler radar, and it's quite small, the radar itself. Something really interesting that I learned is that in the United States, when you patent and sell a commercial electronic device, you're required to send pictures of the internals of that device,
Yeah,
and those are publicly available.
yeah.
And
So
so,
that people don't infringe, basically. Yeah, it needs to be public so that people can't copy it. It's funny, isn't it? You need to make it public so that people can't copy it. Otherwise, they
right?
don't know they're copying it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So I found this out, and I was like, "Whoa, this could be very insightful." And I did a series of videos, kind of breaking down the components from these, publicly available images, and a certain red and white branded launch monitor was not happy that I did this.
Oh, really?
And I got an angry message on Instagram about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was very insightful because I was like, wow, these launch monitors actually they have one tiny radar. And then based on everything I've learned about radars, I was like, how can they claim to collect all this data just from this one radar? So it made me really question the system.
Yeah. And the common complaint with the R10 and other sort of monitors in that kind of region is that they can be, well, I wouldn't want to put a percentage on it, but they're accurate a lot of the time, but they're also inaccurate some of the time, and therefore you never quite know what to trust, don't you? And I suppose, is that down to the fact that sometimes it may be that they're estimating some of the numbers based on they can't actually measure them
Yes.
essentially accurately? Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
exactly.
Yeah. So the three radars part is one big improvement potentially beyond those kind of other comparable entry level ones. That makes yours not entry level, I guess. In that case, that makes it, yeah,
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 hopefully.
yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah,
I
for
mean, my
sure.
goal is to make something accurate and very useful, so
Yeah. At this point, then, because a lot of I loved looking back through your early videos there, because Ross pointed me at like a load. Just he's been following along for months, as you said earlier, um, and it was when you were doing it properly, like soldering stuff together and all that kind of stuff. And that's just like it's interesting to watch, but also very intimidating if you were to encourage somebody else to do it themselves.
hmm
But these days, if you want to actually try and put this project together, am I right in thinking there's no requirement for actually putting together breadboards and solder and all that kind of stuff? It's mostly just clip it together.
Correct. Yeah. Well, there's one more soldering step,
Okay.
unfortunately, and it's
Uh-huh.
adding one resistor to the soundboard. But
Okay.
other than that, no breadboards, everything else just connected via USB plug. Um, so it's quite approachable, I think. And
Yeah.
this was my first ever hardware project, and I feel
Yeah.
like with the help of AI alongside you, I think anybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I've been using a lot of Claude Code and Codex to build all sorts of stuff in the last 6 months. So yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's a superpower. The other part of it, the 3D printed case, how easy is it to get that done? Are there? I've never even looked around to see if I can get something externally 3D printed. Is that something that's easy to get done these days?
Yeah, I was lucky in that I have a friend who lives nearby who has a printer.
Hmm.
And so he printed me my case, which was very nice. And but other than that, at least in the United States, there are public libraries that have printers. There
Yeah.
are like services that you can pay. You know, it would cost a little bit of money, but less than $100, I think, just for a one-off print.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly achievable. I've been really close to buying my own printer a couple times. Still might someday. We'll see.
Yeah.
They've. It's crazy how affordable they are nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even for a good quality one. You trigger my memory, actually, the fact that there's a few in the UK, I don't know about the US, but in the UK you get a lot of makers labs, like just kind of local
Exactly.
organizations that set up and they just buy gear like that and you can come in, you pay a wee membership and essentially use their stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of places you could get it done that way too. Be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. So I mean, where do you like aspirationally? It's obviously it kind of surprises me actually. I had it in my head that you'd been doing this for a year or two or something, and it was looking at how developed the project is, particularly how many collaborators you've got, like your stars on GitHub, all of that stuff. Like it looks like a much more advanced project than just 6 months or so. Um, I mean, what's your aspirations in terms of where this gets to? Like, where do you see it? How accurate do you think you can get it? Where do you think it slots in the kind of launch monitor pantheon in terms of accuracy? Do you think?
Yeah, I I personally I don't want to stop working on it until it's accurate.
Hmm.
I know that for sure. Um, and and so at a bare minimum, once we can line it up, within a tolerable amount of error with Trackman, then at that point, then we can think about next steps. What's really interesting is I've had a ton of people reach out to me interested in helping me make this a commercial product.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
Um, and I keep telling them it's not ready, it's not ready, it's not ready.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but I feel very strongly about the open source nature of it,
hmm
because open source is a totally foreign concept to the world.
yes.
You know,
To most worlds like that, to be fair, outside of software, but yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
right, exactly. And golf is a very expensive sport, and
Hmm.
it's always been like that, and it always will be. And people don't like giving away their secrets.
Hmm.
And so I feel like it's really special to be like, I have no secrets. This is how it works. You can do it yourself. And I want everybody to learn how this works. Um, so certainly it will always be open source in some capacity.
Hmm.
There's also been some ideas floated around about selling kits for people
Yeah,
who
yeah.
might not feel super comfortable doing some of the work themselves.
Hmm.
I think that could be something, but then that raises the price.
Yeah,
Um, and, one of the main, reasons I started the project was to keep the price affordable
yeah.
for a quality thing. So,
Yeah, you've got so much room though to charge a little bit more while still
mm,
keeping it very fair and very affordable compared to, I mean, the launch monitor market. If you wanted to get into anything, which there's lots of space to go in under the current prices,
sure.
especially if you can get that accuracy, that confidence that I think. Those little ones are great for a golfer like me that it doesn't need to be accurate 100% of the time, but I'm sure for when you're higher up the tree, lower handicap, yeah, it makes a bigger difference. So yeah, I think you've got a lot of room to run. That's cool to read here though. Yeah, still planning that contribution, that still make it open source, still make it possible to do it for the kind of minimum price, but makes a lot of sense to still, I mean, it feels pretty fair to pay another few $100s, if not more, for either a pre-assembled or at least a pre kind of put together kit for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm leaving the door open for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
see.
excellent. In terms of like actually using them, I was interested to get your thoughts as someone who's actually created a launch monitor, obviously testing it a lot, trying to hone in those stats. What do you reckon actually makes a difference? What stats really make a difference? What stats really matter? You mentioned the ones that you were really looking for at the start. You're as a low handicapper there, so I'm guessing that's what you would kind of, it'd be good to reiterate them, but what really matters to a low handicapper. But to somebody like me, like low 20s, trying to improve and get into the teens, what do you think a golfer like that should be actually looking at with a launch monitor? What really makes the difference?
Yeah, yeah, good question. I think swing path is a big one. I think when you can, you know, understand what your tendencies are, with swing path and with your launch angle, if you know that 9 out of 10 times you're hitting you're starting your driver left and really low, that's really good information for you to then give to a coach, or someone helping you with your swing.
Perfect. Yeah. I actually, that's something I did a fair bit, was hand-on data to a coach. It was great doing that. Actually, it was so insightful, and he found it really useful, and it really helped direct the next lesson. Something else I did, I'm not sure if you've played with this much, is using AI, Claude or Chat GPT with that data too as a coach. Is that something you've played with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's funny because even like Bryson DeChambeau, did you see him saying he was asking Gemini about his
Yeah.
swing?
Yeah, yeah, and that seemed almost just like psychological as opposed to database, didn't it? It was just like, give me
Right,
some confidence.
right, right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would advocate for having a human coach as well, because I think there's a ton of stuff in there that a proper like experienced coach is going to help you with. But being able to just see the kind of plot the improvement, the data, like drop those data in every single time you do a session for it to be able to see, oh, you've improved your angle just a bit here, your face angle here, that kind of stuff. Yeah, found that really useful.
Yeah, and I would say just yesterday I played in my biggest tournament of the year just yesterday. Um, it was the state amateur qualifier. Um, and I had booked some time on a Trackman earlier in the week to really get hard numbers on my wedges between like 50 and 120 yards. And I at least a dozen times yesterday, I came up to a shot and I got the distance and I was like, yep, I know exactly what I need to do to hit this distance. I know which
Really?
club, I know what kind of swing, and that's incredibly valuable to have that confidence in the moment and just no question immediately I know what I have to do. I think that's extremely valuable.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Talking of distance, that's a good little segue to, well, a couple of things I just wanted to not necessarily dig into too much, but you mentioned on one of your socials that you were looking at building a rangefinder too.
Mm.
That's the next project.
Yeah, that's the next project. I have all the parts for it, but I've been so busy on open flight and also practicing for this tournament that I haven't gotten
Yeah,
into it yet. But um, that's a really cool whole other, discipline of
yeah.
technology, which I also know nothing about. So this is going to be pretty exciting.
A whole new learning experience. Yeah. Oh, well,
Hmm.
yeah. If there's anyone out there listening, you're interested in how to follow along in that. That's quite early stage at the moment. Then yeah, definitely follow along on Coleman Golfs. And the tracer too. I'm going to play around with this a lot. Actually, one of the things that I've been working on a lot recently. Ross and I do a lot of golf content. And I love doing tracer videos, like just recording the swing and going out there and putting a tracer on it. Your open tracer is, I had never come across it, and it looks like you built it for the same reason that I have real trouble making tracers, which is that most tracer software is just so janky in some way, like,
Hmm.
um, and or it's quite expensive. I find actually most of the time it's both expensive and still not very good. So I'm going to do a lot of playing with that, and hopefully build a wee workflow around being able to just drop my videos in, have them edited a little bit, add some of our branding and stuff, and put it through the tracer just with an AI workflow. So that's one of my plans, to play around with that over the next couple of weeks. Actually, that'll be good fun. Is
Great.
that something you'd played with at all?
Yeah, yeah. That was a project that I um, I was kind of testing to see how AI would do it.
Hmm.
And it was okay. It took a little time to really dial it in, but please give me any feedback when you're using that because
Hmm.
I would love to make it better and easier and nicer to use. So let me know
Yeah,
how it
perfect.
goes.
Yeah. Well, out there too. Yeah, it's totally free to use. So, what was the URL for that again? It was it just Open
It's
Tracer? I
on
got it
my
from the
GitHub.
yeah. So yeah, I'll put that in the show notes anyway. I'll put it in the description, and you can go over
Cool.
and have a look and try it out and give some feedback. Yeah. Last thing was just around the community. Really, I was interested. You started up a Discord community around this. What kind of golfers have you found has been most interested in this project? Now that you're kind of gathering people into that Discord, you're gathering a community around your Instagram as well. Is there anything they have in common?
Yeah, it's actually a huge range. Um, we've had, and I was actually pretty nervous to start the Discord server because it's a lot of work, like
Yeah.
moderating that, and I think
Yes.
there's like almost 300 people in it now, and it's constantly popping off, and um, it's been a huge range. There's some I've seen some college level golfers in there who have never done any programming or technical computer work in their life, and then some like very technical people who are now contributing a lot but are maybe
Mm.
new to golf. Um, so it's truly a huge range of people, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I just wondered what kind of united people that were interested enough, and so because it's definitely something that could be quite intimidating to a lot of people, the idea of building something like that at all. But
Yes.
yeah, that's great that it kind of appeals to a broad range of types of golfer and people in general.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you okay if we finish up with a couple of a few quick fire finishers? Got a
Yeah,
few
sounds
questions to
great.
fire at you. You don't need to be short with these, but they're short questions, so answer how you like. But here's a few for you. I'm curious on your expert opinion. What is one golf metric that you think matters more than golfers think?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Just top of mind, I would say um, vertical launch angle. Because not only is that very important with your wedges, for me that's been something that I've been really focused on because I hit my wedges very high and I don't like that at all. So I'm
Hmm.
trying to get my vertical launch angle down, and on the other end of that, I'm trying to get the vertical launch angle up on my driver.
Mm, yeah.
Um, and you'll find that as you start, playing more and getting a little bit more experienced, you'll find how much of a difference how high you hit the golf ball. It makes such a difference. Yesterday in my tournament, it was super windy, and so I had to hit the ball low. And with my driver, it's good, but with my wedges, it's bad. So it's like
Yeah, yeah,
being able to understand those numbers and start to adjust that is very important.
yeah, to work on that. That's certainly something you learn early in Scotland when you're playing on
Mm,
the coast on a links course. You get very good at the low, punchy roller shot when it's like 60 mile an hour gales outside.
man.
What about one what about one golf metric that matters less than most golfers think? What do people over-index on?
I think people over-index on speed.
Hmm.
I think people way over-index on speed. I mean, more speed isn't always better, and at the end of the day, for 99% of golfers, you swing how fast you swing, and it's now your job to play your game around that, or not even play your game around that. Just accept how that's your speed, and that's it.
Mhm.
Um, I think at a really high level, if you want to start hitting it farther, like of course, speed is the way to do that. But I think no need to over-index on speed.
Probably a wiser thing to just try and hit it straighter instead of further.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, what about one piece of golf tech that you really rate?
Mm. Aside from the launch monitor, you know what? Just yesterday on Twitter, I saw somebody using like a $20 laser level, like
Hmm.
for doing like woodworking and stuff. Someone put that behind their putter on the putting line, and on a straight putt on a flat green, you can see if you're pushing or pulling the putt. I
Yeah,
think that was genius, and that's $20 you can spend to level up your putting practice. I think that's amazing.
excellent. Yeah, so it shows the line. Yeah, brilliant.
It's just a
And if you
laser
had,
on the ground, and if you hit it left with a laser, you pulled it. You
yeah,
know, if you hit it
yeah,
right, you pushed it.
yeah, yeah. And if you color it green and put a golf brand name on it, they'll charge like 80 quid for that, 100 pounds.
Right,
Yeah.
4 times the price.
Because it's a nice woodworker's tool, it's yeah, 20 quid.
Exactly.
Perfect. What about one thing in golf technology marketing that you would ban tomorrow? What winds you up?
Oh man, I think anything that markets like a quick fix, you know,
Yeah,
anything that's like fix your slice or fix your early extension. It's like,
yeah,
no, you can't.
yeah.
Don't waste your money.
This one tool will stop you slicing tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I saw an ad on Instagram for a severely offset driver. So, you know, the
Hmm.
face is like offset from the shaft.
Sure.
And they had coined some crazy term for it. But like they called it some new idea. But it's just an offset club. And that's crazy to me that they're rebranding the offset club just
Yeah.
to get people to buy it.
Pretend it's new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, last one. What one feature do you most want Open Flight to nail next?
I think once we get our launch angles down, then it's a very quality device.
That's
And
it. Yeah.
that's going to be amazing.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, good luck with it. It's so good to see the work you're doing there to really, make something like that that's either not that reliable or just really, really expensive, just much more accessible to everyone. So yeah, perfect. So yeah, if you're out there listening, go and follow Coleman at Coleman Golfs on Instagram. You're on TikTok as well, aren't you, Coleman? Doing similar
That's
kind of
right.
videos, I believe. And find Open Flight on GitHub, or where's the kind of best? Is that the best place to find like the specs and stuff like that for if
Yes,
somebody wants to actually have a go at this?
exactly. Yep. Everything's in
Perfect.
GitHub, the parts list, the instructions, everything.
Excellent. There's also an Open Tracer GitHub, but we'll pop a link to the actual. You've got an open page, don't you, where people can actually try out the Open Tracer as well. And if you do try that out, as Coleman said there, give them some feedback, send some feedback on Instagram to let them know what you would improve or change or whatever, how it went for you. But otherwise, thank you very much, Coleman. It's great to have your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, Colin. Really appreciate it.